Are you tired of pests destroying your beautiful garden? You're not alone. Every year, gardeners across the globe wage silent wars against these little invaders, striving to protect their blossoming paradise. From snails munching on your lettuce to aphids sucking the life out of your roses, garden pests can be a real nuisance. But fear not, understanding and implementing effective pest control measures can turn the tide. In the next few minutes, you'll learn how to reclaim your garden from these pesky invaders. Knowing your enemy is half the battle won. Let's dive into identifying some of the most common culprits wreaking havoc in our gardens. First up, we have aphids. These tiny, pear-shaped insects are often green, but they can also be black, red, or yellow. They're usually found in clusters on the undersides of leaves, sucking the sap and causing your plants to wilt and discolor. If you see a sticky substance on your plants, that's honeydew, a sure sign of an aphid invasion. Next, let's talk about slugs. These slimy, shell-less mollusks love damp, shady spots and come out to feed at night. They are notorious for leaving behind a trail of shiny, silvery slime. If you notice irregular holes in your plant's leaves or seedlings disappearing overnight, you may have a slug problem. Then there are beetles. These hard-shelled insects come in various shapes and sizes, but most common garden beetles are black, brown, or green. They can eat leaves, flowers, fruits, and even the roots of your plants. Look for chewed leaves and damaged fruits as telltale signs of their presence. And let's not forget caterpillars, the larvae of butterflies and moths. Caterpillars can be green, brown, or black and often have distinctive markings. They are voracious eaters and can quickly defoliate plants. Look for large, irregular holes in the leaves and in severe cases bare stems where lush foliage once was. It's also crucial to keep an eye out for less visible pests. These include nematodes, microscopic worms that attack plant roots, causing wilting and yellowing of foliage. Similarly, scale insects are small, hard-to-spot pests that attach themselves to stems and leaves, causing discoloration and reduced growth. Remember, early detection is key in garden pest control. Regularly inspect your plants, particularly the undersides of leaves and around the stem base. Be vigilant, especially during warm, wet weather when many pests thrive. Now that you know what to look for, let's move on to the next step. Prevention is better than cure, especially when it comes to garden pests. Now that we've identified some common culprits, let's discuss how to keep them from making themselves at home in your garden in the first place. First and foremost, consider crop rotation. This age-old practice involves changing the types of plants you grow in different areas of your garden each season. This way, the pests that are specifically attracted to one type of plant won't have a chance to establish a stronghold. It's an effective, natural way to break the life cycle of pests and diseases. Next, let's talk about resistant plant varieties. These are plants that have been bred or genetically modified to resist certain pests or diseases. By choosing these resistant varieties, you're giving your garden a fighting chance right from the start. It's like equipping your plants with their own personal armor. Now let's shift our focus to the soil. Healthy soil is the foundation of a healthy garden, and a healthy garden is less likely to be overrun by pests. So, how do we maintain healthy soil? Well, it's all about balance. Your soil needs a good mix of nutrients, organic matter, and beneficial microorganisms. Composting is a great way to enrich your soil naturally, and it's also a fantastic way to recycle your kitchen scraps. Regular garden maintenance is another key prevention strategy. Regularly inspect your plants for signs of pests or disease. Remove any diseased or infested plant material as soon as you spot it. This will help prevent the problem from spreading. And remember, a clean garden is a happy garden. So make sure to clear away any fallen leaves or rotting fruit. These can attract pests and provide them with the perfect breeding ground. Lastly, don't forget about beneficial insects. These are the good guys of the bug world. They're natural predators to many common garden pests. So, encourage these helpful critters to take up residence in your garden. You can do this by planting a variety of flowers to attract them. Prevention is your first line of defense, but sometimes pests still find a way. In our next section, we'll discuss what to do when prevention isn't enough, and it's time to take action. Nature has its own ways of dealing with pests. That's right, it's not always about chemicals and sprays. The natural world has some pretty effective solutions up its sleeve. So, let's dive into the world of natural pest control methods. First up, we have biological control. This is all about using the pest's natural enemies to control their population. It's like a garden soap opera where ladybugs are the heroes, swooping in to save your plants from the villainous aphids. Then there are lacewings, who are not as delicate as they sound. Their larvae have quite the appetite for aphids and mites. And let's not forget the praying mantis, the quiet, unassuming predator that will chow down on just about any pest. But what if you want to play a more active role in this drama? Enter predatory insects. These are bugs you can actually purchase and introduce into your garden. Take nematodes for example. These microscopic worms are a slug's worst nightmare, but completely harmless to your plants. Now if you're more of a DIY person, you can whip up some homemade sprays using natural ingredients. A popular one is a garlic chili spray. Yes, it sounds like something you'd put on your tacos, but hear me out. Garlic and chili are both deterrents for pests. Mix them with water, let it sit overnight, and voila! You've got yourself a homemade pest control solution. Another option is to plant pest-repelling plants. Marigolds, for instance, are known to deter a variety of pests, while lavender and lemongrass can help keep mosquitoes at bay. So as you can see, there are a myriad of natural methods you can use to protect your garden from pests. And the best part? They're all environmentally friendly, helping you maintain a healthy, balanced ecosystem in your garden. These natural methods can be very effective, but sometimes you may need to use pesticides, but don't worry, we'll cover that in the next scene. Until then, happy gardening. Pesticides can be a powerful tool, but they must be used responsibly. Pesticides, like any tool, have the potential to do great good, but also great harm. Their effectiveness in controlling garden pests is undeniable, but it's crucial to understand that this power comes with responsibility. The key lies in using them wisely and safely to ensure they serve their purpose without causing unnecessary harm to the environment or to non-target organisms. First and foremost, always follow the manufacturer's instructions to the letter. These guidelines are there for a reason, providing you with vital information on safe and effective usage. They'll tell you how much to use, when to apply it, and what protective measures you should take. Ignoring these instructions can lead to ineffective pest control or worse, harm to you, your plants, or the surrounding environment. Safety should be your top priority. Always wear protective clothing, including gloves and goggles, when handling pesticides. And remember, it's not just about protecting yourself, it's about protecting others too. Keep children and pets away from treated areas until the pesticide has dried or as recommended by the manufacturer. It's also important to understand that more isn't always better when it comes to pesticides. Using more than the recommended amount won't necessarily kill more pests, but it could harm beneficial insects and other wildlife, contaminate water sources, or lead to pesticide resistance among pests. In fact, overuse and misuse of pesticides can actually make your pest problem worse in the long run by killing off beneficial insects that naturally control pest populations and by encouraging the development of pesticide-resistant pests. So, while pesticides can be a valuable part of your pest management strategy, they should never be your first line of defense. Instead, consider them as a last resort, to be used only when other methods have failed. Pesticides can help you control pests, but remember, the goal is to manage pests, not eliminate them completely. After all, a healthy garden is a balanced garden, and that balance includes a certain number of pests. It's all about finding the right balance between control and coexistence. So, are you ready to tackle those pesky garden pests now? Well, let's do a quick recap of everything we've learned today. We started off identifying common garden pests, understanding their habits and the havoc they can wreak on our beloved plants. Remember, knowing your enemy is half the battle won. Next, we talked about prevention strategies, focusing on how to make our gardens less inviting for pests. From proper sanitation to crop rotation, we emphasized the need for proactive measures in keeping pests at bay. Then we delved into natural pest control methods. We discovered how beneficial insects, birds, and even certain plants can help us in our fight against garden pests. Yes, sometimes nature itself provides the best solutions. And finally, we discussed using pesticides wisely. We stressed the importance of reading labels, applying the right amounts, and taking safety precautions. We also highlighted that pesticides are a last resort, to be used only when other methods have failed. But here's the key takeaway. Pest control in your garden isn't about declaring war on all bugs. It's about maintaining a delicate balance. It's about encouraging beneficial insects and other natural predators while keeping destructive pests in check. So, as you step out into your garden, armed with newfound knowledge, remember this: every garden is a mini ecosystem. Maintaining that balance is the key to a healthy, pest-free garden. Good luck.